What's up, Holloway fam? Welcome back to another episode of Let Me Holla at You podcast. I'm your co-host, your boy Trey, and this is my beautiful, gorgeous, phantasmic wife,
Katya.
And together we are the Holloways. Welcome back to another episode where we talk about real love, real life, with real stories, and we do it in our own real way. Welcome back again. Thank y'all for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Continue to do that. But with no further ado, let me holla at you.
So, as per usual, we are starting our episode off with a story for you guys.
Ooh.
This week, we are doing a Reddit story. I was scrolling through Reddit, and I found something, as I do. Well, not that often, but enough, just here and there. And I found something a little bit juicy. So, I'm going to go ahead and read it without further ado. He has not heard this story before. This is completely new for him. So, you're going to get his full first reaction. And you're going to get mine, obviously, as well, because we all know I have opinions. Anyway, you ready?
Bring on the heat.
All right, so this is from the Am I the Asshole subreddit. This is titled, Am I the Asshole for Refusing to Let My Girlfriend Bring Her Dead Dog's Ashes on Vacation? My girlfriend, 29 female, and I, 28 male, have been together for 4 months. She had a dog that died a few months before we met. I have only ever spent the night at her place. I live with my sister and her 2 kids, so it's a little chaotic at my place. Girlfriend has a small, 2 to 3 inches tall urn on her bedside table with the dog's ashes. Before she turns off her lamp to go to sleep, she always gives it a little tap on the top and says goodnight, as though she is talking to the dog. I think it's weird, but I have never said anything. We were supposed to go away for the weekend. On Friday, I was watching her pack and noticed she took the urn and put it in the top pocket of her backpack. I asked her what she was doing. She said she didn't want to leave the dog behind. I told her she was not allowed to bring the urn as it made me very uncomfortable. I didn't want to see it anytime we returned to our hotel room, and I didn't want her talking to her dead dog after we've had sex, i.e. before we go to sleep. It's weird, and frankly, she's been mourning this dog for too long. She didn't argue. She simply started to unpack her bag. She told me to have fun on the weekend getaway, as she would not be coming. I asked if she was seriously choosing a dog's ashes over me. She said she was choosing herself over me, as I could have spoken to her with kindness and empathy, but didn't. She also said that I didn't get to dictate how long she's allowed to grieve. Then she asked me to leave. She hasn't replied to my texts. I think she's overreacting. My sister said she can see both of our sides. Am I an asshole for thinking my girlfriend is weird for being so attached to her dead dog's ashes? Edit number 1, the hotel was non-refundable and only a 3-hour drive, so I went on the trip without her. Edit number 2, she started seeing a psychologist around the same time we started dating, but she hasn't told me any specifics, but she said the trauma of losing her dog suddenly brought to the surface other trauma in her past. This is why I think she has been mourning for too long. She is still attached to the dog, even after seeing a professional on a regular basis for several months. So, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so what do the comments say? What do they vote? Or do we want to give our thoughts
I want your thoughts first, because my thoughts actually disagree with the comments.
Okay, so my first thing is I definitely think that maybe not 100%, but I think he does take a little bit of an asshole vote.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest thing with that is, and are they married or are they just dating?
Dating for 4 months.
Okay, so they've been dating for 4 months.
Her dog died a few months before, so I'm guessing like 7-ish months ago the dog died.
Okay, so that adds a little bit more perspective, because I was originally going to say in a relationship, even if it is like almost what would be a taboo topic or a difficult topic to discuss, I mean, that's the point of being in a relationship. You have to be able to have those difficult conversations. So my thing is, from how he snapped about, and I'm going to say snap only because he said things that obviously he hasn't said to her before.
Right.
And he said it in a way because he was annoyed and probably tired of having to deal with the ashes, but he's probably been harboring those feelings about that or about this for a while and hasn't really spoken up much to the way that
he did say that it bothered him.
Yeah,
he hasn't said anything, but it bothered him.
So like obviously like it was bothering you for so long to where you kind of explode like that. I felt like a conversation prior to that, or you could just at least been like, hey, like I know that your dog passed away before I was here, before we were a couple, but I do feel like you've been, really, really going through it for a while, and I just want to know, is there any way I can help you through this, or I think there's a lighter way and a better way to kind of spark that conversation and kind of get through that, rather than just kind of snapping on her. I will say she's bold for just being like, okay, well, by all means, you go on your happy trip by yourself.
Right.
I'm gonna pack my bags, and I think that's a respectful way of saying like I'm not going to change my emotions and my feelings for you, regardless of how you feel about it. Because again, and she had a point. Like there is a
Yeah.
way to bring that up to my attention. There's a way to discuss that,
Right.
and so you don't accept being spoken to less than what you feel like you deserve, especially
Yeah.
from your partner. So I will give her kudos for that. But I do say that he's being an asshole. Like
Yeah.
now originally when you started the story, I'm thinking like, okay, she wants to bring the ashes and she's gonna dump it at a beautiful
No, yeah,
spot
she's
on a
just bringing
vacation.
them.
So just to bring it, I do see his point. I
So
totally see his point.
let's side quest now to me. So that's actually where I was kind of stuck on is like I will say this, okay? The comments, I am actually, I guess, totally in the minority here. The comments did say he was the asshole 100%. So, and I do agree that one, there was a better way to go about it and to say something. You don't get to tell her what she can and can't do, first of all.
Right.
Second of all, there's a better way to say something like that. Third of all, if this has been bothering you for so long, you should have said something beforehand. Like you said, he probably like said it in a way that snapped, and it's like you've been holding on to this, but you're just now talking to her about it. And again, it's not you, it's not your dog, it's not whatever you're going through. You're not the one having things brought up, whatever. You know what I mean?
And from the
And
perspective of a caring boyfriend who wants to
Mhm.
help you through this, not someone who's just judging you and is pretty much tired of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And oh, you feel my
Oh no, you're fine, yeah. And then so I get that. And my thing is like on the other side though, kind of where I might even be the asshole for thinking this way, is like yes, it might have brought something up from like your past or something, but like you're literally in therapy and I love all my dogs that I've had, okay? But like my childhood dog, that was a hard one for me because like my main childhood dog that I had since I was like super super little that I can't remember how old, like really really young, to literally after I even graduated high school. Like that passing for me was very very hard.
Yeah.
And I still have his name was Buddy, and I still have his little like Buddy little key tag with his little name tag that was like on a little bone, and I have it on a chain. Like I still have that, and I loved that dog. I will talk about that dog to this day. I could cry right now talking about that dog. But okay, it's been like 7 months at least because you've been together with him for 4 months, and he said that the dog died a few months before you guys even got together. So it's been like 7 months. Like I think at this point he's very valid in being like this is kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like, and that's like why are you packing ashes for a trip? And like it doesn't
Right.
sound like you're going to a hotel 3
3
hours
hours
away.
away.
Like
Yeah.
again, you didn't say anything about dumping the dog's ashes or anything. You're literally just packing it to take it with you. Like it's at some point you can grieve how you want, but you can't make others understand how you're grieving, and it's okay for us to be like that's kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like if you had randomly just picked up some ashes of your freaking long lost cat or something and was like we're taking him on a trip, I would have been like can we talk about this? Like I mean I would have gone about it a different way, and that's where I think he's really the asshole. Is like again you can't tell her how long she's grieving is
Right. You
not
can't
long
tell
enough.
anybody
Like
how long
even
they're
I
allowed to
can't, you know
grieve.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can't tell her how she's grieving is wrong. Again, that's how some people have to go through, and the way you said it was wrong. However, I do see his side. He just did it in a wholly shitty asshole way of like that's weird. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I can't blame him for thinking it's a little weird.
And I will say too, I mean, a little bit on her side, and not to, dig too deep in it, like to only be with somebody and be with them for less than 6 months and share that and be okay with expressing, because I feel like a lot of people would like want to keep that a secret. Like I'm gonna put my urn in like my bathroom and like
Right.
my personal
Yeah,
side,
she has it out.
like.
She's doing her thing.
But she has it out. She's being totally open with you about it. You know what I'm saying? And about working through it and about how much it's a big deal for her. I feel like it's all about the approach and the least that you can do as her boyfriend or somebody that obviously cares about her. I hope that you do. Like at least hear her out and maybe try to help her grieve through that. Like another way would be, hey babe, so I know that we got into this tiff about this whole trip, but instead of taking the urn, and I know that it means a lot to you, I decided to get a dog tag with the name of said dog and a picture of you two together that you can carry with you as a reminder of him when you're thinking of him. Or if you need
Right.
to, if you can hold on to that. And I think that could be a start because for one, it's two gifts in one. It's like something
Yeah.
personal from somebody that she cares about,
Right.
who she feels like
Love
listen,
language. No, I'm playing. Sorry.
right, who she feels like listened to her and respected her opinion. And yes, you can agree with it or not agree with it, and definitely take that time when you give her that gift to express, like, yeah, and I know that you're going through a lot, and I can't imagine
Right.
how that feels, but the urn should be special. It should be something that stays in your home in a sacred place, and that way he's always there waiting for you to come home, like he was
And
before.
I will
Like there's a
say,
way to kind of,
yeah.
because obviously she's trying to work through it, and she's still really, really taking it hard. And I don't know what losses in her life she's looping in
Right. To all
with the
that,
dog,
yeah.
because again, it could have been the person who gave her the dog or who she got the dog from. They passed away,
Yeah.
and like now when they think of the dog, it's
I
two
will-
people in one. So again, all that aside, not to go too deep into it, I feel like the approach could have definitely been better, and that what makes you an asshole. Like, and again, I know the relationship is early. I know you're still getting to know each other, and for this to be coming up within this first 6 months where you're still getting through that phase of we don't really know each other like that, and we're getting to know each other, I do think it's weird, but it's not right for you to be new in her life and come in and think that you're going to change everything. Because
I'll say so. And on that page, I will technically, I guess, change my vote. I think it's more so of like everyone was like ripping this guy apart and thinking like this is not weird at all. But I'm like, okay, it is weird. Okay, so I will say yes, he's the asshole. I will actually agree with everybody on that because I full heartedly agree with that. But it's allowed for him to think that it's a little weird or be like, what the heck?
And hey, let's check ourselves. It's not weird. It's different.
No, it's weird,
different.
okay? And I'm weird, and there's things about me that are weird that you can call different or whatever.
You know what?
Weird's not a bad thing.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying?
Embrace the weird.
Yeah,
You're
embrace
right.
the weird.
Embrace the weird.
You know what my mom always told me? Tagline. Normal is boring, okay? Because kids used to call me weird when I was younger, and I got bullied a lot for it. And this is something that my mom told me, and I've literally just stuck to it. She said, you know what? Normal is boring, honey. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Like, yeah, like it just like hyped me up at when I was so young. And I was like, yeah, so you know what? Weird's not a bad word. Weird is just like, okay, it's weird. You know what I mean?
What did Leah say? Take whatever you feel about me, times it by 100.
If you think it's worse.
If you think it's bad, make it worse. Like, and that's what you do with the weird, because I've been quote unquote
Love Island,
weird since elementary school, and I've gotten weirder as I've grown up. And hey, it's starting to work for me.
So you know what? You know what? Here it is, right? If you think it's weird, make it weirder. But and then I'll go ahead and say the one comment that I really, really loved though that I saw in all this was her self-respect is a thing of beauty, and that response from her was perfection. And you know what? On that note, I can leave it be because I 100% agree with it. Do I think it's a little weird? Yes. However, he is the asshole, and I think that wraps up everything.
Yeah, treat the girls better.
Reddit story.
Treat your people better.
Y'all, so we are getting into the meat of the episode. So go ahead and get your tea and biscuits ready. We are going into, of course, a continuation of Love is Blind because we had another drop this past Friday. And of course, we are here to share our thoughts with you. So my first one is just really quickly, don't even need to talk about it. Monica's sister, she's just jealous that she's not getting married first. Like, her whole issue, like, and why she was not vibing with everyone, and like he was literally there for this whole whack ass instrumental playing thing and everything. Like, he was literally great at that meeting with this family, and you know, it was weird. And good weird. Again, weird is not bad. It was weird, okay? But he was all there for it, and she's just over there on this chair being all like, and then just stank facing, and then she goes outside to talk to Monica and is like, you know, and it really came out at the end was, I'm older, I feel like I should be getting married, but that's literally her problem.
That was the whole thing. Yeah, that was her whole issue with all of it.
And Monica, you need to stop listening to her. Moving along. So that's all we had to say on that one.
You're grown. Older sisters and older siblings are great, but at a certain point, you have all the tools to make these decisions for yourself. You don't need anybody else's opinion.
Like, someone else's
approval
timeline
would be nice, but I mean, hey, it is what it is.
Well, and her approval wasn't even like something about him. It was literally because she wasn't getting married first. Like, someone else's timeline is not yours.
Not at all.
Let's reiterate that again. Someone else's timeline is not yours.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's is different. All right, moving along. Okay, so is something I'm excited to ask you. So Sarah and Ben were the ones talking, and they were talking in like their little apartment or whatever. And I guess Sarah was like just talking about everything she had to do for the wedding, and she talked about like getting her dress, and she's no idea what she wants it to be. And when she was talking about it, Ben was like, apparently he had said kind of along the way, he was like, you know, anyone I've dated, I've never like pictured them in a wedding dress or anything, but you like talking about it just now, I pictured you in a wedding dress.
Hmm.
So my question for you, babe, is have you ever like did you ever picture me in a wedding dress before our wedding or even like when we were wedding planning? Because I didn't show him my dress
Hmm.
at all. So yeah, I'm
So
curious.
I would say yes for sure. And I think with us, we have been together for like a couple years, like a while,
A
almost 10.
couple?
We're going on 10, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
um with that being said, there was a couple periods throughout our relationship where I had like different or imagine you in a wedding dress or imagine you walking down the aisle or me in that opinion. So
Oh.
just to kind of spread it out, like like when you first meet somebody, and I'll say in my previous relationship, like I was the one who like just jokingly like bring up like, one day, maybe we got kids, whatever.
Yeah.
I've never had an ex of mine do that for me. So
Hmm.
Kati was the first partner that I've had that really talked about marriage and expressed being married and how that would look with me. And I mean, it came like we talked about that on our first date. Like,
Did.
so I mean, it came pretty early.
Yeah.
A lot of that, but we were very much aligned on a lot of those things. So it's almost like imagine being able to picture yourself there, and picture your loved ones there, and picture her face, but you can't see what she's wearing at all. It's almost like the person who's walking up to you is a blur. So for a while, that person walking up to me that I was a blur because I've always known as a man I wanted to get married and have a family. Because I haven't seen a lot of that growing up. I haven't seen a lot of successful marriages. Yes, my mom and dad are married, you know what I'm saying, but they will tell you they went through a lot, you know what I'm saying. And I
Right.
watched them go through a lot. So it's hard to say I've seen like a great marriage. But I think that example was shown in my parents because they never gave up on each other. And they stuck by each other's side through all of the BS, no matter what. And I saw that. They always
Yeah.
gravitated back to each other.
Yeah.
So the big thing about that, in my view on marriage, is like, yeah, as our relationship built more and more, and I started to see more of a future with us,
You
heck
did.
yeah, I was seeing you walking down the aisle in that dress. I didn't know what the dress was going to look like, so I saw 5 different versions of the dress at a certain time. And especially close to our wedding, right before our wedding, um, and our wedding was chaotic. We've talked about it a little bit.
Yeah. We'll have a
Um,
whole episode
but
on that.
after the running around, like right before I had to go get dressed, I took a moment. I went to where all the decorations were, where we were actually going to be saying our vows and things. And I like stood there at the altar, just like looking at the audience. And I think that was the first time like I had a full, clear image of you in the dress and the makeup and the full get up walking down the aisle. And like that's when I choked up for the first time. And that's also when your dad happened to see me there and like he made his way over and then we had our moment as like
Yeah.
father and son, which meant a lot to me. And he said a lot of the things that he said I really needed to hear at that moment in time. And it made it so much. It made the day so much better. It made me so much more confident to take that step.
Yeah.
So without going too much over, I've already went long enough. But yeah, totally, I totally
Well,
get it,
my
and that
question
makes me
is,
literally. Oh, you have another question?
are you gonna know? That just kind of gave me a follow-up question is, so what you pictured in that moment, was it what I came out in, or was it something completely different?
I'm not gonna lie, you surprised me because I think your personality and who have always known you to be, like you're very much type A. So I ain't gonna lie, like I expected. I mean, you came out and you still gave me the works, but I don't know what I really can't say what I was expecting. I was expecting just something
I
grandiose,
think I
just
actually
knowing you.
surprised, yeah, a lot of
But
people.
what really surprised me and seeing you on the actual wedding day was how like toned down the dress was, but it really just made it evident what I was marrying you for and what one of the things I love about you the most. You took something that was very simple by itself, but just your personality, you in it, your smile, how you walk, you made it fit that grandiose view that I had of the dress itself. Because I was like, I can see this dress having like them little, I don't know what you call this stuff, the little see-through sequins
Mesh,
with
yeah.
the little what do they call that
Lace.
little
Oh, probably
lace
lace.
with the little lace sewn in between all the way up with diamonds or something, shining,
Extra.
glistening,
Yeah.
face full of glitter, body full of glitter, like hair, like I don't know what I was expecting. Like, I was like, she gonna come out with peacock colors on, like she gonna rock my. But the way she did, I was just like. And all the tears. Y'all seen the wedding video. It's on our social medias. But for our 1 year anniversary, we posted it. But that's when really like it was so easy to cry because I know she's always joked about. It. She's like, "You better cry when I come down the aisle." But it made it so easy to cry because I was like, and mind you, we've been together for a long time. I've seen her put on the work. We've gone to formals, all this and that. So I've seen this woman dress up. And so I knew what I was expecting, but then to see all of that and how she put it, I was just like, man, like my wife is so beautiful. Like she's so beautiful, and she
I
just
love that.
everything around her just glows. You know, even on a rainy, gloomy wedding day, and it rained the entire day.
Did.
But you were the light of that whole
Thank
experience.
you.
So
Well, that made me fall in love with you even more. But I was gonna say, yeah, my wedding
that's all
dress
real.
was
That's the real.
very simplistic. The actual like silhouette of it was not. Okay, my slit was high. I had it off the shoulder, like it was, but it was a nice satin. Yeah, we have it hanging up on the wall right here. Sorry, we're like looking at it, but it was a nice like satin dress. But usually, what he was expecting is probably what my veil looked like. My veil was literally sparkly with pearls all over
Pearls.
it,
Yep.
like, it was sparkly. Like the entire thing was sparkly. The fabric was sparkly. Like, and then it had pearls on it. Oh, and I had like a whole trim, like a lace trim on it. So it was the veil was the extraness, but usually I think that's what he's expecting in the dress.
And to
But
put
I
it in more
surprised him, and
perspective,
I
she had
surprised
her
myself.
dress before I had my tux.
I did.
Me shopping for my tux was almost like the women shopping for it. It was so hard to think about, like, and you wouldn't let me see the dress. I think I maybe at like a day
I
or
told
two
you the
before I got a
color.
fabric picture or something in
Yes,
the
I showed you
color.
the color because
But I think that was
important.
another thing. Like being together, and when I look back on the photos and seeing how everything came together with me having no idea if I chose the right color, if my suit was gonna look good, everything just worked. Like,
Yeah.
and that's to tell you, the devil's in the details, baby. Like the day wasn't like this perfect, sunny, beautiful, flower-filled day that we thought we were gonna have. But the little bitty details and the elements made it like a very beautiful
Yeah.
ceremony. And for those our real loved ones that were there and really could share in our love and experience that, they always speak on that aspect of it about how those little details made it like so beautiful and they really appreciate so meaningful. And that means the most to us. Like, yeah, we didn't get all the photos of every aspect of the wedding that we wanted to get, of all the decorations that were gorgeous. Shout out to mom-in-law, like shout out to father-in-law, shout out to family, friends, all of them who played a part in that. But we weren't able to get all that on picture, but just being there and just sharing that with the people that you love and all being together on one accord.
Yeah, what matter.
That's what matters the most.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved every second of it. And I wouldn't change anything about it. Not at all.
I wouldn't either. All right, well, enough about us. We will definitely do a wedding episode another day.
We kind of got to get on
it. Yeah, I think it needs to be like next up or one after that. Like once we're done with Love is Blind, let's get on it because we've been talking about it a lot. So we'll go ahead and get one for you guys. But back on topic. Sorry, side quest done.
So going back to our topic. Yes. That makes me feel like him being able to express something. One, men don't always feel like it's okay for them to express like that's an intimate thing. You know what I'm saying? Like not a lot of guys be like, oh, I imagine my wedding or I imagine you in this dress. Like not a lot of men can do that, or they won't say it out loud because they feel like hey, it's weird. Like I'm a dude. Like I'm not supposed to picture her dress. But for one, for him to feel comfortable to share that with her is amazing. Two, for it to be received so well, and for him just saying it all. I mean, I'm rooting for them. Like I love them in the pods. I love them now that they're together. I love the interaction between his friends and family with her, how they all just gelled so well and like I just loved it.
I will say that there was like something that came up at the very, very end of this drop with like I think it was something with TikTok. Like there's a TikTok video that came out or something and someone was talking about Ben. So we'll see what actually happens with that. I'm not gonna really share my thoughts on it because we don't really know.
We don't know what the tea is yet.
And I mean I've seen plenty on TikTok about all of these people from.
I gotta give me. I don't have a TikTok, y'all. I gotta give me a TikTok. I ain't seen none of the tea. I gotta show you. I have them all saved to literally show you. But at the same time, though, like there's also people out there that will say things for clout. So I'm not gonna touch on that too much because I haven't really seen that. But I would love to get into because your opinion is strong on this, and I'm so glad you have a strong opinion on it. But we're gonna go back to David. You had mentioned in our previous Love is Blind episode that something was off about him. And I think that came to fruition when this man was sitting here talking about like why, or like keeps bringing up why it's such a big deal that Lauren had possibly even hooked up or met up with or talked to some guy before the experiment. Like, why is that a big deal? One, this is her past, and two, she's literally telling you what happened, and yet you keep saying, oh, my friend's this and my friend's that. Okay, so this woman is about to be your wife. So are you going to choose her over your friends ever? Because she's telling you this, her friends are telling you this. You could literally ask to go through her phone and she probably would let you. You know what I'm saying? Like, this woman's literally about to be your wife and she's trying to be here for you and you keep pushing her away. So
in my expert, but not really expert opinion, I think he's literally just doing this to push her away so that way she will leave him, which I hope she does. And that way he doesn't look like the bad guy for like leaving her or something. Like
Yeah.
I think it's like he's trying to use this as a scapegoat. And I'm like, bro, you're literally being a 5-year-old about it. You have tiny dick syndrome, and let's be done with you. Anyway, that's my very big opinion. But what is yours? Because you don't like him anymore either.
So my big thing with him is, or my big thing with the experiment at all, and how I love how it's designed is, you can fake it and say all this shit all you want to, but there's gonna be ample and multiple moments that come up where we're gonna see if it's real or not. And I think this is a clear sign that he wasn't as invested in this experiment in her as he might have said he was. Because again, raise your hand if you're dating somebody and you have an ex prior. I'm married to someone and I have several exes prior. You have several exes prior. Okay, raise your hand if you talked about your exes at all and getting to know a new person and trying to build a relationship with
Who
them.
doesn't? A little bit at least.
I mean, a little bit down the road, but I'm talking about the first original meeting. I'm focusing on getting to
when
know
you're gonna know
you.
yeah, who brings them up?
Nobody brings up their exes. So here's where I'm getting at. Yes, you are about to marry this woman, but everybody has a past. It does not matter, especially if you're so keen and so big on building a future with her. You chose her to be your wife through the wall because you felt like you knew enough about her and y'all related on enough for you to go to this experience with her. Yes, I do understand that it's coming from your friends and people that you know you trust and that you love. But at the end of the day, they weren't in the pods talking to her. They didn't get to know her. None of them know her nearly as well as you do. So how do you think those meetings are going to go when she's supposed to meet the people that mean the most to you, and you're supposed to know the most about her and help sell her to your friends and help them get to know her for who she is? How do you think that's going to go when you're in a room with these people and you don't even, you know what I'm saying? You don't even feel this way about her. Like, there is no way they're going to believe in her and accept a relationship and accept her for who she is, because you're not. And you're showing that you're not, because you're so fixated. Well, they say they know this guy, and he said that you guys were talking up to 2 days before the thing. She's already debunked that several times. Her friends have debunked that several times.
Where's the evidence?
Right. If you really want the proof, bring me the proof. Show me the last message that you texted him in the date. If you can show me that, I will drop it. If you really care so much. But she shouldn't even have to do that, because at the end of the day, she's on a whole public TV show, publicly looking for a partner to marry. So obviously she knows.
She chose you.
Had she been up talking to this dude 2 days before, it's gonna come out.
Yeah.
She knew this, and she would have been jumping at the gun to let you know ahead of time, so because she knew it was gonna be a thing, she was gonna try to get ahead of it.
It doesn't matter.
She didn't even do all that. None of that matters, dude. If you really love her, you really care about her, and you're here for the reason that you say you're here for, you have everything that you're looking for. Put that. Okay, this is the last time I want to talk about it, because I'm done with it. We're gonna put it in the past, and we're gonna focus on our future, because that doesn't have a place in our future. And I'm telling you this, and I would tell my friends that I'm here to build something with you. Dry your tears. Don't cry anymore, because that doesn't matter. We're moving on from that.
Right. That being
and be done
said,
with it. Be a man about it.
Gave me a thought, because you hit the nail on the head when you said that you think he might have gone in to this experiment not as like committed as maybe she did. And I think that is 100% accurate, because I don't know if you remember, but he also in the pods, and like even a little bit after, heavily talked about his sister, this imaginary sister which we still have not met yet, okay?
At all.
This imaginary sister who was having an issue with him being on the show, and then when he got out, she was like kind of okay or warming up to it or something. And I was like, first of all, it's a little weird that you need so much validation from your sister. Like, are you like, having an incestual relationship with your sister? Because like, why does her opinion matter that much on you going on this show? And like, yes, it's one thing to have your family's approval of who you want to marry or something. Like, I kind of understand that. But at the same time, like, to the point that it weighs that heavily on you about you even going into the experiment, like, can you go to the bathroom without telling your sister? Okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's weird to me. And that's a bad weird. Okay, that's a bad weird.
And my thing, you signed up for this show.
Like, it feels like a
your
scapegoat.
parents have been your parents for life. Your sister has been your sister for life. You knew how. You can't tell me you didn't. You knew how they were going to respond to knowing that you're going to go marry somebody that they haven't met at all. And you haven't brought her on. You knew what the ideal of that was going to be. So my thing is, nobody wants to hear about it now that you're on the show actually doing the thing, because you've had ample time to think about that when you were applying for the show.
Well, he even said it, that she was like, a little worried about him going on because it was like reality TV and stuff. And I'm like, I get that. But to the point that he kept bringing it up, I'm like, are you just, first of all, is she even real? Second of all, are you just trying to use her as like a scapegoat to not to get out of it. And then now I feel like that was the like setup of if I need a scapegoat, I have one.
Mm.
And I feel like now it's like now the whole situation with this whole possible ex, but not even an ex. Like she's like, we weren't even dating, we weren't talking,
I
like
just,
whatever.
yeah.
Like now you're using that as a scapegoat. So he's just a literal goat trying to escape.
And I just hate that idea. Like, okay, yeah, it's okay to want the approval of people that you care about and you love. But
Yeah.
when you and your wife are going through something, you gonna call your sister to come and deliberate between the argument. You gonna call your sister when you know what I'm saying an emergency comes up and you gotta stand up on this man, or you're gonna call your sister when you
Right.
step out of a relationship and you gotta rebuild from ground up and rebuild
Literally.
trust again. No, you're not. And your sister can't be there for you. Your sister can't talk you through your relationship. Your sister can't love your wife. She can't sleep with your wife. She can't take care of your wife. So why is your sister so involved in choosing your wife right now? You have to
Right.
choose your partner for yourself. And I'm sorry, like that may sound harsh. Yes, family can be involved, but to a certain extent. If you don't know what you want and you need somebody else to tell you what you want, that's a problem for me.
That.
Especially with him being older than me, almost by 10 years. Like, come on now, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a mother's boy. I will say that I'm a mama's boy. But at the end of the day, I take what she says to heart. But I know that in the day, I have to live with my decisions that I make for my life as a man. And I have to stand on my own business. And it has to be that way, or I won't stand on it. Or I won't, you know what I'm saying, fall.
Mhm.
You know what I'm trying
Yeah,
to
I
say.
got you.
Yeah. Sorry.
No,
Ran out
you're
of the
fine.
words.
And honestly, I'm pretty much done with my thoughts. I just have two more,
Mhm.
and one we've already talked about. My first one though is I don't know how anybody else feels, and I don't really care. I am rooting for Taylor and Daniel. I do like Taylor and Daniel. I don't care about the Instagram thing. I really just don't because I think they're really cute, and I hope it works out, and I
Mhm.
hope everything goes well. Whether it does or does not, I'm rooting for them. That's all I can
Yes.
say.
Yes.
But the thing that we also talked about, which you don't really have to like go into really, but we just wanted to point out in our previous episode, we made predictions of who we thought might end up together and who might not. I did say that I wasn't really sure about his favorite couple, which was Virginia and Devin. But unfortunately, I think we kind of noticed it again. The you
Yeah.
said what the vibes seem off, and I
Yeah.
agree.
It just. I mean, when it's just the two of them, I feel like the vibe is really good. They're moving at the right
Even then,
pace
I
for
feel like
each
it's
other. It did feel a little off in the beginning, but there
oh,
were more
that's the
intimate
word.
moments, like where they were trying to explore.
So I actually think that their intimacy feels awkward or off. Like I think that's what I'm
Yeah.
seeing.
Yeah.
Like the vibes seem off, but I feel like the reason for me that in between the two of them it feels off is because their intimacy, for whatever reason, just doesn't feel. It feels like a little awkward or off too.
Yeah. Especially when it came down to talking to the family, I just felt like she was responding, but it wasn't those heartfelt, like, I really want you to
Yeah.
know me and get to know me kind of thing. It was more like I'm defending
Yeah.
my viewpoints
Who I
on
am.
these
Yeah.
things or who I am. And so I was like, I can see that being a riff. And then,
Yeah.
and my other thing is the prenup thing. So we hear all the time about really successful men giving their wives or
Mhm.
girlfriends or whatever prenups. And I understand that. And so she is 100% on track and plans to be a millionaire one day.
Yeah.
And so I definitely understand being an established woman who's worked very, very hard to get where she is, presenting a prenup. But I can't help but understand how that also would feel as a man being presented a prenup. Especially when you want to kind of be the
You got to
provider
take
for
your
your
ego out
wife.
of it.
You do got to take your ego out of it. And I
That's
think that
100%. That's what it is.
if she means enough to you and you can definitely see it going somewhere, then I think it's a good thing to swallow your pride and to show her that you're not in it for anything other
Yeah.
than loving her and getting to know her and building your marriage and your family. I think that'll be a good stepping stone. And prenups can be didacted at any time. Like you've been together for 3 to 5
Well, and
years, and
prenups don't have to be like, oh, I 100% keep my money, you keep yours, or whatever. Like, prenups are literally just in the case of a separation for whatever reason, like, this is what we've decided before we even get married. Like, sometimes people make prenups, and there will literally be prenups that say, my wife or my husband or whoever can have half of my income, whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or half of this company that she had nothing or he had nothing to do with. Like, so prenups are not necessarily always a bad thing. It's literally
right.
just a contract stating what you guys want to have in the case of like a separation or a divorce or something before obviously you get to that point and hopefully never do.
Mhm.
And I think honestly on that note too, we could do like a whole episode on prenups and divorces, but
Yes.
definitely prenups because I have a lot of thoughts on actually both sides of the coin on that. And but I think this one, I'm like, you can't blame her for it. And she even offered and said like she wouldn't mind helping pay off some of his debt or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
if you know what I'm saying, and that's the thing too, is like she's showing she's trying to be a partner,
Yes.
but at the same time, can you blame her, especially for you guys met on a reality TV show? No matter how much you love someone, okay, like is it that bad that she might want a prenup? You know what I mean? And
No,
like,
I
are
don't
you
think
guys even
that's
gonna
the
get
bad thing
divorced? You
about it at
know?
all. What I was more so getting at is this depends on the concept. Like certain things have a negative or positive
Yeah.
connotation depending on where you come from and your
Oh, for
background.
sure.
So
Yeah.
like I didn't know, and I think he took it very very well. I know his family and parents had like another perspective on that. I think they pulled him to the side during that same
Told him,
family
yeah.
meeting and kind of talked through it a little bit. And after he explained how he felt about it, they were like, "Okay, great, we're cool.
Yeah.
You're cool with it. We're cool with it too." You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So I think it just depends on the connotation. I just
Right.
don't know. And like I said, like
And they're gonna talk
even
about
with
it.
Brittany, the girl he was talking to before, when she brought up her sexual identity thing, he did say, I would have to think about that. I mean,
Mhm.
as of right now, I don't
So it could
see
be
an
something he has
issue.
to sit on.
But I can just, I don't know where he's going to end up on that. Say he finds out more about her, other conversations come up, and then things start to unalign.
Right.
If that will be a deal breaker for him down the
For
road.
sure.
So I say it's not like 50, like they could make it or not. I think it's more like 75, they could still get married.
Yeah.
But there is still a 25% chance that they could
I'll even
not just
do a
because they have to iron
60-40,
that out.
just because I feel like when they're together, it just feels a little bit like, and I don't even want to say like, it doesn't necessarily look awkward, it feels awkward. So something is not coming across right with me. And I guess it just really hasn't, because for whatever reason, like, I just don't, and I hope I'm wrong, honestly, but I just don't see it, you know? I don't know. Vibes just seem a little off. You know? We'll find out though.
Time will definitely
Time will
tell.
tell. So I think that is all of our thoughts for this week's
Yeah,
drop, right?
I don't think we
You
missed
anything else?
anything.
Well, great. Okay, so that was this week's Love is Blind drop for you guys, or at least our opinions on it. Um, we hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and of course, we'll be back next week, hopefully with another drop. If not, we'll come back with some just fresh new content for you guys.
Yes.
We'll decide, or how about you let us know? Do you want us to do the last drop of Love is Blind and give you our thoughts, or would you like us to do a wholly different topic?
And if you've been here for the last 2 episodes and you're completely lost, like I kid you not, like give Love is Blind a shot. I think they do a very good job of, yes, there are a little bit
The season's
more,
a little boring, I'll give it that.
yeah, it does start a little boring, and there are a little bit more adult. If you're not at that point, relationship wise, it can lose you a little bit because it's not about all the glitz and glam, the kissing, and all that other stuff like love, like.
But overall, I think it's a great.
But overall, I think it's great to spark great conversations between partners.
Right.
And even if you're young, like it's great to use as like guiding points of things that might be important for you in relationships as you're navigating this thing called life, because it's crazy out here.
That part. That being said, if you enjoyed our episode, or obviously just want to see some behind the scenes or clips or more from us throughout the week, please feel free to like, subscribe, follow, share, comment, all of the above. You can also find us on all different socials such as Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at letmehollaatyou.podcast. Again, at letmehollaatyou.podcast. So we appreciate you guys so much for joining us again. And without further ado, we'll see you next time on
Let Me Holla at You.
you.
Holloway style.